Since I've been grown in this place, I get close touch with my ancestral properties. The whole idea of coming back to my past was very important because I'm doing for my family. So Jodi Mane is a pair of house. It is between the two siblings, the brother and the sister. We always thought the house should be a mix of both. It should be a past and it should be contemporary and more futuristic, and it should be journey to our next generation also. The interesting part of this site is we're having two roads on the either side of the property. The depth of this is plus or minus 0. It's around minus 20 feet down. Eventually what we got is almost 2 floors to the upper road level. The site had nice green on both the sides with a lot of trees around it. So what was interesting is to have facade on all 3 sides. And this was an east-facing site. I had a dream right from my college days was to build a linear house, and the requirement for my sister was a much larger site. So what I decided to take only the 7 meters of this, and the rest I kept it as a trapezoidal site for her. The whole idea of giving a linear thing is to have a proper cross circulation since it's positioned in a hot, humid area. So when you're coming from the front road, the transition space becomes the play area or a parking area. That becomes the first zone, and the second zone becomes your intermediate zone of the entry level, and come to the living area. It's a quite compact but more lively, which is a seamless connect from the living to the dining and the kitchen. So to break that monotony, we have used a little tinge of color, the red and the teal blue, which goes well with the gray flooring. We have to build a next house adjacent to it. So we have to keep those windows in position where this doesn't come in line with the position of the second house. And that's where the stack effect is taken into consideration when we are planning the positioning of the windows. The staircase becomes a hero of the house because that's where we intend to conceptualize initially when we started the design. The whole staircase is like a cradle suspended from the ceiling. So what we have is each 5 steps we have a landing, and every 3 steps you have a landing, another 5 steps you have a landing. You don't feel like you're climbing at around 11 feet of a height. The next level becomes a family area above this, and the bedroom at the southwest corner. This internal window, which helps in cross ventilation, it helps in exhaust the hot air from the room. And we could see through these staircase and stand here and talk to the lower floor. So it becomes more interactive within the house. And the northeast corner becomes another bedroom. We thought we'll have a presence of a home studio. So we had access from the second cross to the office space. So the studio is connected internally as well as connected from the second cross. So this interdependency becomes easier to access the office internally. And the bedroom on the front. So coming to the trapezoidal house, generally in this region, we have 3 levels of entry. Like you have play area, then go to juggly, then go to the main area. The reason is to keep inner area much more cleaner than the outside area. So actually, eventually this works as a parking area. When required, it becomes a gathering space. Then comes the next level, that is the juggly. There's a second zone of the house. Then goes the living area. And we created few landscape zones at the edges. And that becomes much more interesting. So this becomes like a courtyard facing the living and dining space. And the center is tucked with puja. Puja room is quite open, but the essence of the spiritual space is the columns, which is much more important. The column is of a shape of an eye, and what we see is the idol. In the upper floor level, the requirement was only two. We had a library and a larger bedroom, and of course a double light space for the living area. The master bedroom is large and it is divided into two zones, as at the bed area and the relaxing zone. Facing the road will be the library area. The complete setup is complementing with the bookshelf on one side of the wall. So the laterite and wood complement each other, and that flows as a part of the ceiling. So the ceiling, the flooring, the more functional unit becomes part of one integrated space. Eventually what we get is the balcony facing the road. Coming to the top floor, the rear end becomes the home theater, and an intermediate space becomes a bedroom, and that becomes a transition space, and then the gym area. And above the living, where the double light is, that becomes a terrace space. And that connects to the landscape. My sister was into painting and she wanted her own space to display the paintings. So we spread out our paintings throughout the house. So I think for an architect, it is two things which is quite challenging. We are designing for our own and designing two houses which is much more comparable within the relatives. There is one side of the house which is much more simpler, more functional. It gives a sense of direction in terms of an economical house can be much more sensible and much more luxurious. Where compared to the next house, which is much more luxurious, but we are minimalized and well balanced in terms of material. So on and whole, we are happy living in this house, and we continue to design much more houses for the society and probably the neighborhood. Thank you.
Nice. This shot. Nice shot.